The wizard, master of the arcane, able to shape the world at their whim. The cleric, the mortal embodiment of the divine, able to enforce the will of the gods on the mortal realms. Unarguably the two most powerful classes in Dungeons & Dragons. But what if you were to combine the two? Well, then we'd be left with a disappointing ugly stepchild. But it's my ugly stepchild, damn it. The Mystic Theurge is a prestige class from Dungeons & Dragons 3.5 edition, and probably is my favorite class in the D&D rule system, if we were to exclude classes only found in video games. What's a prestige class? Well, basically it's like your normal classes in 5e, you know, your fighter or paladin or bard, but you can't start as it or multiclass into the class until you've done its prerequisites. Probably the most famous example of a 3.5e prestige class is the assassin, where the player needs what's basically his proficiency in stealth and deception, be at least level 5, be evil, and kill a character for no reason than to join the assassins, which if you think about it is an insane requirement, and like how do they even know? If you haven't done any one of those requirements, you can't take a level in assassin. But not all requirements to become a prestige class are that intense or frankly insane. The focus of this video, the Mystic Theurge, is more tame and leads itself to more interesting mechanics, and it itself tells a cool roleplay story. To become a Mystic Theurge, you need what is essentially proficiency in Arcana and Religion, be at least level 3, be able to cast second level arcane spells, which basically means be a level 3 wizard, sorcerer, or bard, and be able to cast second level divine spells, which basically means be a level 3 cleric or druid, or level 8 paladin and ranger if you're feeling crazy. There were other classes that could qualify for Mystic Theurge in 3.5e, but let's just keep it at classes that are in 5e for a nice frame of reference. You kind of have to do a lot to become a Mystic Theurge. Clearly by these requirements, somebody seeking to become a Mystic Theurge sees reality and magic in a different way from your typical wizard or cleric. Mechanically, we're being told that a Mystic Theurge is a practitioner of magic in general. Arcane magic, divine magic, it doesn't matter. All magic is important knowledge and one shouldn't arbitrarily limit themselves by following only one paradigm of magic. A wizard might be able to shape the world to their whims, but they can't resurrect the dead or heal their allies. A cleric might be able to enforce the will of the gods, but they can't... Well, they can kind of do everything, but they could be better at dealing with the threats in front of them. Be it for knowledge, or faith, or simply a thirst for limitless power. A Mystic Theurge sees the similarities of both types of magic, and uses each one to grow their connection and mastery of the arcane and the divine. Or, in less fluffy mechanical terms, levels in Mystic Theurge grant you one spellcasting level in an arcane casting class, and one spellcaster level in a divine casting class. Now, hold on, this is spellcasting level, so it's not as broken as you think, but it's still pretty broken. All what a spellcasting level is one roll on the spells per day chart that all spellcasters stare at. So a character that's a level 3 wizard, a level 3 cleric, and a level 1 Mystic Theurge will be able to prepare, learn, and cast spells as if they were a level 4 wizard and a level 4 cleric, which is a level 7 wizard with no fireball. This class sucks. At level 20 however, we're a level 17 wizard and a level 14 cleric, being able to cast level 9 wizard spells and back it up with level 7 cleric spells, and have a billion other spell slots to fling around. This class rocks. And that's it for class features. You know the phrase and meme that spells are class features? Well, this is literally spells as class features. And I like it. On paper. Because actually playing through these early levels as a Mystic Theurge with no class features and a crippled spell progression sucks. I say this despite never actually playing 3.5e DnD, because I've done the next best thing for almost 3 years. I am not in love with the Mystic Theurge of DnD 3.5e. I'm actually a Pathfinder gamer. For those of you who don't know, I mean I didn't know this until Wrath of the Righteous came out, Pathfinder 1st edition is D&D 3.5e, but more modern, which actually translates to D&D 5e, but a ton of more options and a bit more complex. I love it. Pathfinder shows us more modern Mystic Theurge, a class with real class features. The modern Mystic Theurge gains 2 class features and 1.5 class specific feats. At level 1 as a Mystic Theurge you gain combined spells, which allows you to cast spells from one class using spell slots of a higher level from the other class. For example, in 5e, a Mystic Theurge could cast a Blast with a level 2 wizard spell slot, or cast Magic Missiles with a level 2 cleric spell slot. Combined spells gets enhanced every 2 levels, allowing you to do this with up to level 5 spells at level 9 as a Mystic Theurge, which means level 15 or 17 as a character depending on what classes you use to make Mystic Theurge. Which essentially means extra wall of forces for the price of a level 6 cleric spell slot, or if you're feeling creative, all your 4th level cleric spell slots are more fireball slots. Combined spells works perfectly for Mystic Theurge as it allows you to abuse your extra spell slots to cast more of your premium high impact spells. It really feels like you have mastered magic and are crossing the barrier of what is arcane magic and what is divine. It is the perfect blend of mechanics and flavor, as you're using holy power to blast your enemies and healing allies with the secrets of the arcane. The other class feature that Mystic Theurge gets is his capstone. Although it's not really a capstone since we're not getting it at level 20, it's more or less level 16. But then again, that's still a level that most players will never reach, so it's a class fantasy dream goal that will never be achieved. This capstone is called Spell Synthesis, which allows a Mystic Theurge to cast 2 spells at once as an action. And if that doesn't sound broken enough, anybody targeted by both spells take a -2 to saving throws. You know those broken and counter winning spells? Yeah, you can cast 2 of them at the same turn and drastically increase the chance that at least one of them will land. Unfortunately, this is once per day. But I think once per day when the encounter is good enough. But if only using Spell Synthesis only once per day, or not being able to actually use it during the campaign is not enough for you, let me introduce you to the Lesser Spell Synthesis feat, which allows you to use a weaker version of Spell Synthesis that requires an action and your movement equal to the amount of times you take the feat, allowing you to double cast before the campaign ends, and if you ever do get to level 16, hopefully your DM is kind enough to allow you to upgrade your Lesser Spell Synthesis feats to Extra Spell Synthesis feat, which gives you more dual cast, it's kind of in the name. Don't let this propaganda fool you. Mystic Theurge is a very flawed class and for the most part isn't even an optimizer's class. First of all, you're a super late bloomer. The Mystic Theurge takes forever to actually start being a Mystic Theurge. Most campaigns don't even go on long enough for Mystic Theurge to even exist, let alone be able to shine. Think about it. When was the last time you ever got to level 8? Well, level 8 is when you get your staples like Fireball, Haste, Animate Death, Dispel Magic, and if you're playing 5e, Spirit Guardians. You don't even get the spells you're playing a spellcaster for until the final act of the campaign, or more realistically, when the campaign dies out and loses steam. The Mystic Theurge early game also sucks. Like it really sucks. It starts off with a normal spellcaster early game, kinda cringe, kinda weak. I don't feel powerful or cool, I should have rolled a Marshal for the early levels. But right after the turning point when you start to power spike and become really cool as a spellcaster, you then have to stop your progression and then level up another class that also does basically nothing. Don't get me started on your stat dependency, because they can be wild. Since you know, spellcasters need their casting stat, and you might have 2 of them you need to funnel into you, I think it's crazy that you might have to focus on 2 normally dumb stats, while still need to focus on other stats because they have an actual impact on you, and your team can't cover that up for you. All in all, Mystic Theurge is pretty bad. But it's also pretty badass to harness the power of all magic, having the flexibility of the best arcane and divine spells, halting the enemy's advance with arcane force in one turn, then healing my allies with divine power the next, and then finishing off the counter with a perfect fusion of arcane and divine energy, channeling both of them to stop all those who harm my allies. Look, the fantasy is so cool to me. Now when I say that the Mystic Theurge was removed from 5e, I mean it literally doesn't exist anymore. Most of the Mystic Theurge's prestige class compatriots became subclasses in 5e. Arcane Archer and Eldritch Knight, they're fighters now. Arcane Trickster and Assassin, Rogue baby, but Mystic Theurge never found its way to 5e. Sure, there's 2 subclasses on a very surface level can be seen as a new Mystic Theurge, but honestly I never got the feeling of the same fantasy that the Mystic Theurge provides from looking at these 2 subclasses in my 8 years of playing 5th edition, and it's even more telling when I saw the Mystic Theurge as a new fantasy when I discovered Pathfinder. First we have the Arcane Domain Cleric from the Sword Coast Adventures Guide, which gets some nice wizard spells as the main spells, detect magic if your DM will let it do stuff, magic missiles to break concentration and damage, magic weapon if your DM doesn't give magic weapons but adds enemies with damage resistances. What are you doing, DM? Marshals need to do damage, don't make it my problem. Dispel magic for obvious reasons, Arcane Eye, and that's basically it, but it's a good spread. As for class features, they're pretty good. At first level you gain 2 wizard cantrips, but at second level you get an ability that literally doesn't matter, so I'm not going to even animate it. At 6 you can dispel effects on allies you heal, at 8 you can add your wisdom to damage on cantrips, but most importantly at level 17 you get to add wizard spells of your choice into your spell list. Finally, some spellcaster hybridization in the hybrid subclass. I don't know if I'm crazy or not, but Arcana Domain feels more like a cleric that's an anti-mage, rather than a master of divine and arcane magic. Arcana Domain is really good at dispelling magic effects and crazy enough seems more like a melee focus than a spellcasting focused subclass. At least that's what I think when I see Booming Blade being available on the medium armored spellcaster and Spirit Guardian exist on them. To be honest though, Arcana Domain is a really cool divine magic gish that actually acts like a gish, but it's not a Mystic Theurge. The other subclass that's a Mystic Theurge like is the Divine Soul Sorcerer, which was added in Xanathar's Guide to Everything. At first level, the Divine Soul Sorcerers are gamers that get the whole cleric spell list added to their spell list of potential spells to learn, and you get 1 spell based on your alignment. Also gained at level 1 is the ability to give yourself Giga Bless once per short rest if you fail a roll. At level 6 you gain Meta Magic Reroll Healing, who cares. At level 14 you gain Wings, at level 18 you get to heal yourself when you're half dead. To be honest, mechanically, I couldn't care less about any of the features past first level. Unironically, I see this subclass as featureless except for the first level. It's all about that first level ability that allows you to pick up cleric spells as a sorcerer. But here's the thing. One of the most exciting aspects of playing on Mystic Theurge is your flexibility of spells you can cast. It is well known that the downside of sorcerers is their very small number of known spells. And now we're deciding to really stretch out that problem by limiting the choices of what we can do by adding a whole nother spell list. You can't really afford to use niche spells as you're kind of pigeonholed about only using the most general use spells due to your very limited memorized spells and very large competitive spell list that combines both the sorcerer and cleric spell lists. One of the most fun parts of the Mystic Theurge is that you can't prepare these niche spells because you have a ton of spell slots that you can devote to some spells that might be overlooked. If anything, the Divine Soul Sorcerer mechanically plays like the antithesis of the Mystic Theurge. Less spells that are more powerful instead of Mystic Theurge's many weaker spells. Don't get me wrong, I love Divine Soul Sorcerer. I've played it at least 3 different times, but it doesn't give off the same feeling of mastery of magic like the Mystic Theurge. It feels more like a normal sorcerer that can occasionally heal or buff allies. Meta magic interactions with support spells like Sanctuary make my mouth water, but the sorcerer side of things gets nothing from the hybrid exchange. And I hate to break it to you, but the baseline sorcerer already has the best team support buff spells in the game. It may be obvious and stupid saying this, but you feel like a sorcerer with the 3 to 4 best cleric spells bolted onto your kit, not some sort of hybrid caster of Master of Magic. And that's all I'm gonna say for now about the coolest class that never made its way to D&D 5th edition. Don't get me wrong, there's so much more you can talk about with the Mystic Theurge, but I think this is as far as I can go about talking about the class and of D&D 5e pretense. I haven't even scratched the surface though. I can go on and on about multiclassing with a billion archetypes in Pathfinder, some of which might as well be a different class, how different spell preparation styles affect your day-to-day, necromancy as it's a huge deal and a deeply satisfying playstyle for a Mystic Theurge build. There's also early entry and how hot of a debate that is, and there's a tons of more topics. This class is a bottomless pit of theory crafting and magical mayhem. I love the Mystic Theurge, it is my favorite class mechanically and flavor-wise in all of the D&D family of rule sets. It's just a shame I can't play it in 5e and instead have to play Blessed Bot, Fireball, and Cope.